everyone, it's me, Zombie, and today I'm going to be working on my Young Genji cosplay from Overwatch. I've been chugging away, constructing and painting some pieces, so I'm going to show you what I have done so far and how I made everything. For my patterns, I usually just fold some printer paper in half and draw half of the symmetrical pattern, so when I unfold it, it's a perfectly symmetrical piece. Here I have Genji's headpiece, which I traced onto some half-inch EVA foam. I used the same pattern technique for the rest of my pieces and traced it on to some half-inch EVA foam. With a sharp utility knife, I cut out all of the pieces. For some of the raised details on the armor, I used the same pattern method and traced my little patterns onto some 5mm foam. I used an X-Acto blade to cut out all of these details. I used some super glue to stick on some of these raised details onto my half-inch EVA foam. You can use contact cement or another adhesive, but super glue is just my personal favorite when working with some of the smaller details. For the shin pieces, I decided to use some more half-inch EVA just to make it a little bit more robust looking. I cut holes in these pieces because some fabric details are going to be strung through these later. For the holes in the headpiece, I'm using a smaller drill bit on my rotary tool. I drew out my details with Sharpie first so I know exactly where I needed to drill in my details. With a stone grinding bit, I'm rounding out all of these edges and making them look a lot softer. This helps the armor pieces look a lot more natural and less like cutout foam. And it just helps the piece look neater overall. After sealing my completed foam pieces with 4 to 5 layers of Plasti Dip, I went ahead and added all of my chrome details. For the chrome details, I'm using some sprayable Tamiya lacquer. I'm just spraying it right into this cup and using this sponge brush to apply the color. The color I'm using here is gunmetal because I love how it looks. I'm using a dabbing motion with my sponge brush to avoid brush strokes. I used 2 layers of this chrome paint to make everything look finished. For the chest piece, I used my booby pattern I used for some of my foam builds and fit it to a centerpiece to connect them to. Using contact cement, I glued the cups to the centerpiece. Again, I'm using some throwaway sponge brushes just because they're so cheap and they really help apply all the contact cement on smoothly. After waiting a few minutes for the contact cement to dry, I went ahead and assembled my cups to my center chest piece. After sticking my middle piece on, I kind of like sketching out some of the details that I either need to cut, or adjust, or add on with some Sharpie. After adding some of the larger details, I put in some 5mm foam for the stomach piece. I'm tracing a little bottle of acrylic paint on some pattern paper to map out some of the details that I need to add to the chest piece. This piece also gets the dremel treatment. I'm just rounding out those edges to make it look a little bit neater. After my edges are rounding out, I'm using an X-Acto blade to cut out the little circle pieces that I traced onto the chest piece earlier. Lights will eventually be installed in these 2 little circles here. Now this piece I should have saved until the chest piece was almost completed. I went ahead and cut out this little center notch in the very center of the chest in preparation for putting some lights on. In hindsight, I really just would have left this piece so the chest could keep its form. I put a layer of Plasti Dip over what I had so far so I could see where my mistakes are so I could go ahead and fix them before the next step. While waiting on my Plasti Dip to dry on my chest, I started painting some of my other pieces. Since the chrome was done, I went ahead and added this brassy brown reddish color onto the rest of the pieces. I really love how this looked when it was finished. It had a little bit of a sheen to it, but it was just the perfect color. I went in with a few different sized brush from mid-size to teeny tiny little detail brushes just to make sure that the color got everywhere that I needed it to go. I waited for this first layer to dry before adding more acrylic paint layers on top. Now that my chest piece is all one color, I can see where I messed up on some places. To rectify my mistakes, I'm using some DAP Quick Seal and filling in some of the gaps and then rubbing it smooth with my finger and a piece of foam. The next day, after my Quick Seal was dry, I put a layer of Worbla over the entire chest piece. This helped make it really rigid, and it helped all those little ridges under the chest area look like they were molded in. Since I'm new to Worbla, of course I made some mistakes, and I filled in some of the holes that the Worbla made with some epoxy sculpt. I made sure to curl the Worbla on the inside of the chest piece, just so everything would stay in place. Here is the first coat of filler primer. I can't wait to sand the crap out of this thing and start making it look really seamless and nice. For the areas in the chest that need lights, I'm going to be using this clear sheet of acrylic, cutting it into pieces and placing it into the chest as a light cover. And hey, do you remember that Genji headpiece that we were cutting out of EVA at the beginning of the video? Well, here she is, all Plasti Dipped and with a nice coat of Tamiya gunmetal paint. Even though this is just the base coat, I think it's looking pretty cool so far. And here's what I have done so far. I have my shoes assembled, I have my shins done, and forearms, and everything is starting to shape up. These are just the base coats on these pieces, and they still need their designs painted on them and the airbrush treatment, but I'm really liking how they're looking so far. I'm having a blast building it, so thank you guys so much for following along with me. I hope you stay tuned, and if you like cosplay, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next video. And for those of you who tuned in last week, you knew that I was giving away an exclusive Logitech set of Mass Effect hardware. We have the keyboard, we have the mouse, the headset, and the beautiful mouse pad. It's an entire set. There are only 500 of these made, and one of you is going to be getting them. To enter, I had you guys comment what Mass Effect character would you cosplay and why. And the winner of the Logitech Mass Effect Andromeda giveaway is Emily Sims! Congratulations, Emily, and thank you all so much for participating in the giveaway, and don't you worry, there will be plenty of giveaways in the future. Thank you all so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye, everybody!